Roxo Media House.
Welcome back to State of the Frogs with your head coach, Kirk Saarloos. Coach, thanks for joining us. I'm sitting in, obviously, for Connor Wanhanen this week. We're fresh off a sweep of Houston this past weekend, and then a split series with UTA into Tuesday. You guys are about to head off to Cincinnati. Yep. Before we get to Cincinnati, tell us about the weekend series with Houston, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I thought, obviously, offensively, we haven't been what we wanted in the last probably 10 or so games, but came out Friday and Saturday, or Thursday and Friday, swinging the bats really well. We pitched pretty good all weekend, but it was a weekend that we really needed to at least win 2 out of 3 and hopefully sweep, just because, coming into that weekend, you're 2-7 in conference. Now we have 6 extra games this year compared to years past, where usually you have 24 conference games. Now we have 30. So, but at the same time, 2-7, it's still the same 2-7. So we have some more time to get back to where we want to get to, but we needed that for sure.
Fair enough. And I'm supposed to, my producer's yelling at me right now. I'm supposed to tell you this is produced by or sponsored by the Squire Shop, our friends at the Squire Shop, Steve Humble. I don't know how well you know Steve. Best. He is the best. Thank you, Steve, for all your support. Coach, you're 20-8 in overall and 5-7 in the conference, 14-3 at home. So you're doing quite well at home. I think the couple games ago, the UTA game was a split series. You ended up falling short 6-4. Yep. Any thoughts on the UTA rivalry back and forth and how that looked?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of fell back into the rut of from an offensive standpoint, had one bad inning on the mound. Mm-hmm. I think that cost us the game in terms of usually when, the team, when they roll a crooked number, a lot of times they roll a crooked number that's bigger than the runs that you score all 9 innings. So we had 4 runs. They scored 4 runs in the 3rd inning. So there you have it. And so, but there were some good things. I mean, we had Zach Wattis, he had his first career hit, which was a home run, and actually had 2 other really good at-bats as well. I think at one point we had 5 freshmen in a row. We had 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 5 freshmen. So there's some growing pains with that.
Sure.
And but there's also some really neat things that happen, with those young guys like we saw last year. So you never like to walk away with a loss, but sometimes you can play decent and still lose the game. I think that's what college baseball is now. If you watch around the country, if you don't play great baseball, anybody can beat you. And these midweeks, I mean, you look around the country with top 25 programs, and their midweek record aren't very good, And so that was our first loss in the midweek, and we got to get back to playing better baseball coming this weekend.
I was going to ask you about Zach and some of the freshmen, maybe the lineup here in a second. You mentioned that his first hit was a home run. I want to dig on that a little bit, if you mind. I saw that Logan had a huge game Tuesday, or played Tuesday. Might have got hurt.
Yeah.
You think you can tell us on Logan Maxwell?
Yeah, we've had a string of hamstring injuries. It's Logan Maxwell's dealt with those his whole career here. Mm-hmm. Luke Boyers has as well, and he's kind of I don't think his is as severe. But he's kind of dealt with that this year. And then obviously Peyton Chatinier, won't be available this weekend. And then Brody Green's still nursing, his kind of hip flexor / growing. So, you look at your infield with no Peyton and no Brody, and it's going to look a lot different than it did at the beginning of the year. And so the main thing is we got to try and, weather the storm when those guys aren't in there. And it gives great opportunity to some of those young guys that haven't maybe got the opportunity yet. So, and see what they can do with it.
Last point on the UTA split series. The first game was here in Fort Worth at Lupton. I said that was a bark at the park, I believe was the day. And there's a real rumor around town that it maybe Bud, your dog, Bud might have been in attendance.
Yeah.
How was Bud's experience?
Well, he actually didn't take part in it out in right field. He doesn't like other dogs for the most part. He'd rather be around people. Mm-hmm. He's a people dog. But he was out on the porch here, up in the coach's offices, kind of, I don't think he'd ever been at a game before, so I think that was a first for him as well. So it was fun. I mean, that was a long time in the making. We've gone through it a bunch of different years trying to get it done, and the risk management department at TCU, rightfully so, they're pretty strict in terms of, they want to avoid risk, like most risk management people do, So we've had to go jump through a bunch of hoops over the last couple of years to get this done, but I think it came out as a really good success. I think we had 114 dogs or something like that.
Incredible.
So that was cool. And I think the people enjoyed it.
I think they did too as well. And this isn't a rumor. This is actually fact. I think you might have got ejected from that game. Does that sound?
Yeah, probably.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well,
people are wondering what might have happened.
No, I think a lot of times people, people would be interested to hear what is said at those arguments. A lot of times, I know John Wolf, really well, that home plate umpire, and I was frustrated with a couple different things, and I just finally went up to him, and he said, "Hey, if you argue anymore, I'm gonna throw you out." I said, "Well, then throw me out. I'm tired of watching our team play. I'm tired of watching our team play right now anyway. So go ahead and throw me out so I can go watch it on the couch." So a lot of times that's kind of what happens in those deals.
Fair enough. And one of the big moments, I hope this is big for you as it was for us fans, but you reached 100 wins in your career here at TCU, fastest, youngest to do that ever.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Does that mean much to you? Do you get time to absorb what that actually means?
Yeah, I mean, well, I didn't know until they announced it, and I think Meredith came out or Sean came out, Sean Connor, and said congratulations. I had no idea. If you get in the business of counting wins and losses like that, I already have gray hair. I don't need any more. So, but it's always, any milestone I think is really cool to reflect on. Really, the coaches that I've coached with and the players that we've had. And I think anytime that you reach those kinds of things, that's the first thing you think about is all the great players and human beings and coaches that you've been able to be around.
Fair enough. Coach, appreciate the words on that. We'll be right back on State of the Frogs with you with a student question from Mackenzie.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Welcome to the Squire Shop.
We are locally owned and operated since 1994.
We specialize in the finest men's clothing that the market has to offer at affordable prices with unbelievable service.
We do custom clothing all the way to more casual, Peter Millar, Johnny O, kind of everything. Well, my dad's the owner, so I've been around retail my whole life. Oh, it's great. I mean, it's the best boss I'll ever have. I know that.
We love our TCU community. They have been so good to us. Come see us today. Go Frogs!
We're back with State of the Frogs with your head coach, Kirk Saarloos, brought to you by our friends at Squire Shop. This week's question comes from Mackenzie.
My name is Mackenzie Gutowski. I'm from Southern California, and my major is strategic communications. And Coach Saarloos, there's a lot of superstitions in baseball. Do you have any specific ones?
Superstitions. Well, I think baseball is probably the most superstitious sport of them all. I had quite a few when I played. Now that I'm a coach, probably the same thing. I put my left shoe on first, tie my left shoe, then put my right shoe on next and tie that one. I don't even think I've ever put my right shoe on before my left one. So that's definitely either routine or superstition. I'm not sure. And then just kind of a lot of the different things. I would say it's more routine than superstition. I think superstition means that if you don't do it, you're going to lose. Mm-hmm. Where I think a lot of mine are more routine in terms of just kind of checking off the deals that I need to get done before a game. But great question.
Thanks, Mackenzie, for the question. Do you have any? Is there anything that you do like the shoe that we don't know about that maybe just something routine if it's not a superstition that you could share with us, or is it? It's everything's so natural now you don't even think about it.
No, I don't think that. I mean, there's nothing really. I mean, if you watch me long enough, probably you'll notice I do a lot of the same things at the same time, but
Fair.
Nothing really outrageous. No.
Fair. Your players, they have their certain routines that we know of. Anything that I was going to ask you this later on, but since we're on the subject, anything your players do that drives you crazy, little habits that they might have? Is that an open question?
We actually, Coach, we're sitting in the dugout at UTA before the game, and we had some time to kill. And Coach Bruce, their dugouts are like true dugouts, are like dug down into the earth. And so we're sitting down there, and I think it was Anthony Silva walked by, and he was at eye level, and his shoelaces are like, I'm like, he plays shortstop, and I'm like, his shoelace, how is he not tripped on his shoelaces? They're hanging almost to the ground. They are actually rubbing the ground. So Coach Bruce and I looked at each other and like, a shortstop shouldn't have shoelaces like that. So next thing you know, we have him over. We cut his shoelaces, put some flame to the end of the new shoelace, right? And so it wouldn't fray, and then retied his shoe. And I said, now you look like a ball player.
Fair.
So then we went down the whole roster and kind of just looked for the next guy that had all messed up shoelaces and brought him over and clipped him and retied him. So kind of give a tutorial of how to tie your shoe and how long your shoelaces should be. I just never understood for a guy to have that long of a shoelace.
That's outstanding. All right, more of a serious question now. We noticed the lineup. You've been changing the lineup quite a bit from our perspective. A lot of freshmen are playing this year. You mentioned Zach Wattis a second ago had his first hit. We'll stick there real quick. His first hit was a home run. Can you take us inside what that must feel like? Your first collegiate hit of your life is a home run. Is that meaningful as we think it might be to a kid?
Sure. I mean, if you were there, watched kind of a highlight and saw him touch home plate, turn around, and run back to the dugout with as big a smile as you could possibly have. So it means a lot. Hits, but also home runs. They mean a lot, that kind of get the first one out of the way. And, with the freshmen playing, I think, Zach brings a different element to our lineup that, in years past, it's a lot more athletic. It's a lot more base stealing.
Sure. Zach
is, he actually runs pretty well, but he's not a base stealer. But he does bring a little bit more, maybe a home run to the lineup. So we're going to try to give him more opportunities. And again, just trying to figure out what's the best combination of base stealers, power, average, all those things, and it's still a work in progress. I wish it wasn't, but it is.
In Camden Sauce, he's same first playing time, just doing really well in all perspective. But I think Ryder Robinson is doing the same type of thing. You seem to be playing a lot of young guys early, and I think that's one of the lures of kids coming to TCU is maybe they're promised or not. But if you can earn it, but they get a chance to play early. That's got to be a big selling point for a program such as yours.
Sure. I mean, we rely a lot on the transfer portal, but you can't ever. The transfer portal it's finicky in terms of you can't rest your whole season every single year on the transfer portal. They need to come in and supplement what you already have from your high school recruiting classes, because you have your high school kids for at least 2 years, maybe 3. The portal kid's usually a 1-year guy. So, to have a sustained success, you got to really recruit well out of high school. And when you get those guys, you got to give them opportunities to play.
And the last freshman I'll ask you about is Chase Brunson, your center fielder. He's been crushing it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
He's kind of a unique story. I saw he was drafted, most of us know that, 18th by the Blue Jays. How did a guy like that end up that's got such early talent? How did he end up at TCU? Is there anything?
Well, he actually was committed to and signed his national letter of intent to Loyola Marymount back in California, where he's from, and they had a coaching change. That coaching staff went up to Washington State, so he basically got out of his NLI and decided to open things up. I got a phone call from a buddy that I hadn't heard from in a really long time. But when he evaluates or tells me that he has a good player, he doesn't kind of sugarcoat. Like, he's either good or he won't call. So when he called, I hadn't heard from him in 2 years probably. I was like, okay, this kid's pretty good. We missed out on a transfer portal guy from an outfielder, and so it was like perfect timing. It was probably the middle of July, about July 14th, and the portal had just closed. Got a phone call. Next thing you know, on a Zoom meeting with him. Next thing you know, fly him out for an official visit, middle to end of July, and he's a Horned Frog by the time he leaves. So, he was a really good pickup, but all comes with connections out in California from a coach that I really respect. So.
No disrespect to Loyal, but I assume when he walked on campus here, he was like, yes, this is where I want to be.
Sure.
Something like that. So,
yeah,
great.
Exactly.
Well, Coach, you've done this for a while, and head coach for not quite as well, but you've been running a successful program a long time. Are there still parts of the game that you really, really enjoy? Obviously wins, we know, but any part of the game of baseball that don't never get old for you?
I don't think so much of the game of baseball. I think it's more of, getting to know these 18 to 22-year-old kids, because everybody's different. Everyone has a different personality, and everyone has a different backstory of how they tick, why something happened way back when growing up, and that's why, they maybe are the way they are now. So I think just getting to know kind of backstories and getting a more deeper understanding of these guys so that they understand that our coaching staff knows who they are, and it's not just about, them performing on the field, but it's an understanding of who they are and what they're about.
Sure. Keep you young or age, one of the two.
Probably a little bit of both. It's like I got 3 kids at home, but I got 42 here. So I got 45 kids. How are you doing? How many you got?
Indeed. So we'll be right back with State of the Frogs with your head coach, Kirk Saarloos, with Carson Bowen.
Energy does everything for us. It's all-encompassing.
We're all benefiting and affected from it.
And it is something that we all need to know about.
It is the glue that holds everything together.
TCU is powering what matters. our future.
We don't just talk about what's needed, we focus on results.
The Ralph Lowe Energy Institute is creating a world where energy is affordable, sustainable, and reliable.
Welcome back to State of the Frogs with your head coach, Kirk Saarloos. This is not Kirk Saarloos. This is Carson Bowen, number 14, our catcher, first baseman. But I want to thank Mackenzie for her question, and thank you guys at the Squire Shop for all your support and what we do over here at TCU. Carson, so catcher last year, you had 5 hits, I think, in the College World Series, crushing it at catcher. Well, year number 2 here at TCU, you're playing first base. Yes, and not only that, you have a guy named Evan Scoug who's been helping you at catcher and helping you at first base. Before we answer any of those questions, tell us how you're feeling these days and how the season's going for you.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Health feels great. I think morale feels pretty good for where we're at. And it's been a tough stretch, but I think we've had some great practices. We've shown signs of life, and this Tuesday was a tough break after a really good weekend. So I think we're headed in the right direction, and I think overall the season it's been a regular baseball season. There's ups and downs. We were really high, we were really low, and I think you got to ride it out and just keep working.
Absolutely. So let's talk about last year, crushing it as catcher in the College World Series. You did really, really well. For us who don't know the story, why did first base come into your life? I know you have some previous experience there, but what was going on there?
Yeah, I had shoulder surgery in the fall, and then I just one day was like, all right, I'm just going to go take some ground balls at first since I can't catch right now, and I had my left arm, so I was like, might as well go try and learn, and the coaches said that was a great idea, so we just kind of went from there. And then they told me that with us having Tolley and Curtis, that me and Curtis were going to try to play first, and we both put a lot of work into it, and then we just grinded it out.
Is it fair to ask you which you prefer more, first or catcher?
Definitely catching, for sure. I love catching. That was like my first love, so I think I'll always love being there.
When you're leading the Big 12 in fielding percentage, it's hard to go play something else, even though you excel at both of them. So that's a great story. I know you're high school teammates with Gabe Miranda and Louis Rodriguez. Yep. How's that relationship been coming from high school to college?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I say it's been the same. We were all really close friends in high school, and then we played travel ball together. We played high school baseball together, and now we're in college. So I think it's been awesome. We all live together, so I think it's just a everlasting friendship that we'll have forever.
Who's the best roommate, would you say, of the three of you guys? Who's the cleanest, the most responsible?
Oh, honestly, maybe our other roommate, Jack Strager. He's awesome.
Good
but
answer.
He keeps us in check.
You were a freshman All-American last year at catcher. Before that, though, did you play in Team USA ball back in high school coming in?
Yes, I did.
What was the experience like?
Yeah, I always say it's just getting to wear the USA across your chest is just a different feeling. It's just you get out there and all those people in other countries do not like you, so it's you guys. It's your team against the world, and I think just getting to represent your country is always an honor.
Where are some of the places you traveled to?
I went to Mexico twice. I went to Panama, and then we stayed in Florida when I was 18. So,
do you stay in connection with most of the guys on that team because of what you guys have accomplished?
Definitely. I think we all have group chats that we still text in sometimes. So it's awesome to see like where everyone's ended up and just text them every once in a while.
Fair. So moving from year one, solid year, exceptional year, to year two, how can you compare the two? Has the game, as they say, slowed down for you? Are you more comfortable where you are in this place, or what's year one versus year two for you?
Yeah, I think this year has definitely been a slower start, I'd say. Definitely not performing as well as I want to, but it's baseball. There's ups and downs. So I think if I just keep working, just put in the work, and work wins. So I think the more I just keep working hard and the more time put in at the field, it's going to pay off. So I think it's definitely been hard, but year one I think went really smoothly. It just kind of, I don't want to say it came easy, but it just kind of came together, and then this year has been a little bit of a struggle, but I think everyone goes through it, so it's been fun. It's been a good challenge.
Well, you make it look easy from our perspective. What would you say this year's team, if you could identify some strengths and weaknesses? I know the rotation's moving a lot. You guys seem to have some depth, a lot of young guys playing, obviously. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on the strengths and weaknesses of this year's team?
Yeah, I think you said it best. We have a ton of depth, and we've had quite a few injuries already, which is going to, it obviously hurts, but I think we're going to have guys step up, and I think our strengths is our depth, and the young guys have stepped up. They've done a great job, just like we did last year. I felt like the freshmen last year did the same thing. So I think it's been awesome to see, and then it's been great. So I think I don't know. I don't even know if we have any weaknesses. I think we've lost some games, but we always try to figure out what went wrong, what happened. But I think it's just we got to play our brand of baseball. I got to throw strikes. We got to have quality at bats, and we got to take care of the baseball.
Nice. You hear that, Coach? No weaknesses. I love it. That's great. Let's see. Tell us about working with Evan Scoug. He's obviously a legend to us older guys, but what's it like working with him?
It's honestly just super cool. Like, I feel like there's better words I can use to describe it, but it's just getting to hear from him and his wisdom and the way he talks about TCU just makes you feel like which it is, but it makes it feel like it's just the coolest place in the world, which I agree, and I feel the same way. But just seeing it from here, or hearing it from his eyes and the things that he experienced here, and it's just so cool. So, and then I haven't even touched on the catching part. He's just been unreal for catching and just all around. He works his butt off, and he's always here. He's always texting us, like, to work out, to do anything. So he's just the best.
That's fantastic. We talked with Coach Saarloos a little bit about superstitions. Are there superstitions that you currently have and you can share with us?
I don't know. I feel like I'm not a bit, like, I think I am superstitious, but I don't do one thing. Like, if I eat something before a game and I do well, then I'll eat it the next day. So I think it's nothing that is constant, but if it works, it works.
Fair enough. Fort Worth, how's Fort Worth treating you? You're an Anaheim, California guy. You're in a new place. You obviously have been here a little bit, but what's Fort Worth been like for you?
I love it. I know when I came here on my visit as a senior in high school, it felt like home right away. And it's just the TCU community as a whole just always has made it feel like home. So even my parents moved here. So
outstanding.
Yeah, they live like 2 miles from the field. So it's been awesome. So I think
you can't escape them, can you?
Yeah, I was happy when they moved. So, but I love Fort Worth. I think it's awesome. It's beautiful. The people are great. So,
favorite places to eat, hang out?
I'm such a bad person for this question. I'm so simple. I'll go eat the same thing every day if I could.
What's your favorite place to get the same thing?
I think, honestly, I've been going to Dave's Hot quite a bit for some reason. It's been good.
Chicken.
It is. It's really good.
One of our sponsors as well.
Oh,
so
good.
They do a good job.
I love it. They do. The place is awesome. They're always super nice. And then I think Joe's Pizza and Pasta over there on Hewlin is good. That's another solid place.
I love it. Any other hobbies of yours that folks might not know about you that you're interested in besides baseball?
Yeah, I love to fish, and then I actually hunt for a California kid, surprisingly, because my dad's from Tennessee, so kind of get that shaped in there somewhere. So I always say deep down I'm not a California kid, and so I'm really happy I'm in Texas.
Carson, that's all I got for you today. We're excited about the upcoming series with Cincinnati. It's going to be cold.
Yeah.
Do you know where you'll be playing yet?
Both? Probably both. Hopefully both. Yeah.
Will you start out catcher then move to first, or do you know yet?
I'm not sure. I think Curtis has been catching Tully, and Tully's been doing great.
Right.
So I'm going to say we're not going to mess with that.
Beautiful.
So I wouldn't mess with it either. So I think hopefully first, and then we'll see. Hopefully we just sweep the weekend and just play some great baseball.
Fantastic. That's Carson Bowe, number 14, your catcher, first baseman for your TCU Horned Frog baseball team. And that has been State of the Frogs this week with your head coach, Kirk Saarloos.
You know, we wouldn't be able to do the things we were able to do this year without the Flying T Club. So we got to continue to get people involved. It's more important right now than it's ever been.
Flying T is special. It's the best thing that I've encountered in college. It allows us to be able to offset a lot of the costs that our scholarships aren't able to cover. If people like winning, invest in the Flying T Club and NIL.
This is really great for athletes and just for future students who want to come here and be a part of something special, man. I just think it's great.
It just means a lot to us players to see all the support, and it's huge.
Welcome back to State of the Frogs with your head coach, Kirk Saarloos. I'm your host, J.W. Wilson, sitting in for Connor Wanhanen, brought to you by the folks at Squire Shop, thankfully. Coach, we're headed up to Cincinnati today, in fact. You have a weekend series with the Cincinnati team. Last time you guys played them, 2005, you had a kid named Matt Carpenter on the team at that point. So it's been a while. You guys won that series, I saw.
Can you come back and
all right. I'm sure you could help. Speaking of help, I was going to chat with you a little bit about Evan Scoug. Mm-hmm. Is he helping Carson? Has he helped Carson being where he came from? And is that pretty much?
Yeah. No, he's helping all the catchers, and I think he's finishing his degree, and he's an undergrad assistant coach, and he's done a phenomenal job in terms of not only the catching position, but he's also coaching first, and but he brings a lot of valuable knowledge of what it means to be a TCU baseball player. Mm-hmm. Because he was here I think 15, 16, and 17, and went to 3 World Series and has a lot of history here. So he brings a lot of great value in a lot of different areas for sure.
Cool. Cincinnati Bearcats upcoming.
Yeah.
What do we know about these guys?
They're actually, their coach is brand new, and he's turned the program into a team that is competing at a high level. They're kind of in the middle of the pack like we are in the Big 12, and so they kind of do it all. They have one guy have 11 home runs, another guy with 8. They also have about 66 stolen bases as a team. So they do a lot of different things. We're going to have to defend it well. We're going to have to pitch well. It always starts and ends with pitching and defense. So we're going to need to do those 2 things well, and then get opportunities and timely hitting on offense and take care of business. So it's back on turf. We're playing on turf first time in a little bit, and so it's going to be cold. It's going to be high of 45, maybe something like that. So it's going to be cold Friday and Saturday. Sunday's a little bit better. So, but I'm excited to go out there. That's actually where we had Brady, our first kid, Kristen and I, was born in Cincinnati when I played for the Reds. So haven't been back there since. So it'll be fun to kind of revisit and see my old stomping grounds in terms of at least for 1 year with the Reds.
Well, good luck up there, Coach. It's fantastic. I saw Louis Rodriguez had an 8, or actually watched it, 8-inning 3-hit shutout.
Yeah.
Will we see him this weekend?
Yeah, he'll Peyton Tolley on Friday. Louis will go on Saturday. And they're actually the guy that they throw is very similar to Louis in his style and his pitches. So it'll be a fun game in terms of similar styles of pitching going against one another.
Very nice. Well, Coach Saarloos, I appreciate the time very much. This has been State of the Frog. New head coach Kirk Saarloos. Good luck, Coach.
Thanks, Jared.
Roxo Media House.